Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you are having a great day. Today's story includes toxic family, cheating, paternity test, lying, manipulation, gaslighting and favoritism between siblings. Let's start. Am I the idiot for telling my step-siblings to take a DNA test? I, 34, female, am the firstborn child from my father's, 68, male, second marriage. My dad married his previous wife, in her 60s female, most likely above 65, very young, as she had gotten pregnant with my oldest half-brother Mark, 48, male. They had 2 more children in total together, Mindy and Martin, 44 female and 40 male. They got divorced cause his previous wife was cheating on him with another married man. He later on married my mom, a few years later, and we're 4 siblings in total, me, Adam, Anna and Aaron, 30, 26 and 23 respectively. There have always been rumors that my 2 youngest half-siblings, Mindy and Martin, aren't my dad's, but the affair partner's children, but we've dismissed them as we don't have much of a relationship with them from the get-go. Their mother is a really toxic person who we've avoided most our lives, and because of her the relationship between our half-siblings has always been strained. Dad is a hugely successful business owner and he has always provided for all his children, he has paid for all our educations, so we all could live a debt-free life, has helped with businesses or getting us work, even helped us buy our own homes. A few years ago, when Martin was arrested for fraudulent checks, my father paid off all his fines, bail and lawyer fees, which included the amount he owed, all $300K in total. Yet, he hasn't received so much as a thank you from any of my half-siblings. On the other hand, they constantly fight with him accusing him of liking my siblings and I over them, and resent my mother for no apparent reason. They've always used father as a money bag and felt entitled to it in fact. Mark recently came over to Dad and told him that he needs to know what Dad intends to leave them in his will, to make sure they will be treated fairly. This pissed me off as Dad is healthy and fit as ever. I suggested all of Dad's children take a DNA test, then we can go over his will and what he wishes to leave us. Apparently this was the wrong thing to say, because soon I was getting angry calls from my half-siblings, and their mother calling me all sorts of names. She even called me a, quote, wicked foolish little wench. Wow, I think you hit a nerve. While Dad hasn't said much on the matter, he has become awfully quiet, which is what he does when he's upset, whether it's with me or my half-brother, what I'm unsure about. My mother did say that I shouldn't have said anything, knowing how volatile my half-siblings and their mother can be, and we could have dealt with this issue when the time was right. So am I the idiot here? Edit, apologies as I'm not a native English speaker, but I meant half-siblings and previous wife instead of step-siblings and stepmother. Edit 2. I feel there needs to be more backstory as some of you think I'm being greedy or want the money for myself. That's not the case. While I thank my daddle as I wouldn't be where I am today without his help, I'm very financially stable and can live a comfortable life without his inheritance. Same goes for most of my siblings, only the youngest who has chosen to join my father's business is slightly dependent on him, but he is a very hard worker and my father is very proud of him. As for my half-siblings, when we were kids my father tried to take Mark under his wing and had him join the company, taught him all the ropes and as in every work environment you're expected to wake up early and do your job. Mark didn't like this, calling him a bad father, as he was spoiling us rotten, yet expected him to act as his slave. He was an adult then, but wanted to be treated the same as a child, to wake up late, not have any responsibilities and get paid for doing basically nothing. His mother backed him up and bad-mouthed my father wherever she went. Oh God. After a huge fight, where he insulted my father in front of his employees, my dad fired him even though Mark says he quits. Sure. It was the same with the other 2. Jesus, these people never learn? Mindy started a fight, bringing her mother along to face my father, as to why her mother doesn't have nice jewelry like my mother does. Well, maybe because she isn't his wife? And maybe if she hasn't cheated on him, she could have all these nice things. And how he raised them in poverty. My father's business was in the early stages then, but they were far from poor. They went to the best private schools and my father got their mother diamond rings, expensive necklaces and even bought her gold bangles from a trip to Iran. Yes, it wasn't as much as today, but they still felt she was entitled to the same treatment as his current wife, my mother. All the while, their mother sat silent acting like the victim. Why does I have the feeling she does that a lot? That's why I say this isn't the first time they've done this, and I hate to see my dad's blood pressure go up because of them. He's the type of person who'll go silent when angry, then blow up like a volcano when provoked to the point of no return, and it's always because of my half-siblings. This might seem like a lie, but we value our father more than the money. Why would it seem like a lie? Most people would feel the same way. So I told them to get a DNA test to put them in their place, the money they feel entitled to, and the father they have been bad-mouthing all these years, all for a woman who has been lying and manipulating them all their lives. Yes, I did it out of pettiness, but if I'm being honest, I don't regret it one bit. In fact, I wish I had said it sooner. I'll take the a-hole title with pride if it comes to it. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. As my mom said, I shouldn't have said anything and probably let my dad deal with them. OP also gives more info in the comments. You don't need to do a DNA test to cut people out of your life. Your father needs to take a hard look at his children and decide if he wants them to be a part of his life. It's rather disrespectful for him to be asking about an inheritance. Right. That's what I'm trying to say, but everyone is labeling me the idiot. My dad is very much alive. Why do they feel entitled to have their inheritance when he's in good health? The DNA test isn't for the will, but to show my father was right all along, and how their treatment towards my father was uncalled for. Mark is the worst of the three, but we're 100% sure he's my father's biological son, so even with a DNA test, they'll still get a portion of the inheritance. Do you think your dad wants to know? It sounds like by striking your half-brother, you've also hurt your dad? That's why I want to have an honest conversation with him before doing anything else. If he wants me to stay quiet, I'll accept his decision. It would uncover all the lies their mother told them about my dad being a bad father to them and abandoning them. Their mother has put the idea in their head that everyone, including her own family, my dad's family, my dad, and mother, all are to blame for the divorce, and she is just the innocent victim. Can you be 100% sure that you are his biological child? Freaking hell, that's none of your business. What makes things worse, let's pretend your half-siblings have indeed a different father. You can't blame them, they're innocent children knowing only your dad as their dad. You're trying to rip apart the whole family, and I honestly do not believe that you're not greedy. I really don't care if they get an inheritance from my father, that's up to my father and my father alone. I'm just calling out their behavior for treating him badly, yet feeling entitled to his wealth. Out of all my father's children, I am the most financially independent and have no need for my father's wealth, as I'm pretty well off myself. The point is misinterpreted here. My half-siblings always use my father as a cash cow. I don't know if this term is correct, and it gets annoying how they are fine with bad-mouthing him to everyone about what a bad father he is, yet have no problems taking his money. But you didn't call that out, you should have. The DNA test thing is irrelevant because your dad views them as kids, and also, what if it turned out they are biologically his? Would that make all their behavior okay? No. All you did was call out that they might not be his bio kids, which has nothing to do with how shitty they are. You should have called out how shitty they are. I want to have an honest conversation with my dad about this, as he has never talked about it openly with us. If he feels that it's irrelevant, whether or not there are his biological children, I'll stay out of it. But if he's just avoiding the situation and just living in denial, which I feel is the most likely scenario, I would want him to, at the least, sort things out for his own peace of mind. Regardless, whatever he thinks is best, will happen. Well, OP, it's clear that your half-siblings suck, and that they have a terrible relationship with your dad, and consequently with the rest of your family, and apparently this situation is fueled by their mother, who also sucks. And although their relationship problems may be more complex than you know, and some people may think that some of their behavior in the past can be in some way, quote, justifiable, you're not the idiot for defending your father. The problem is that maybe the way you did it is. Look, I understand that the way they have been treating your dad, and possibly your mom, you and your siblings, is horrible. So when you finally saw the opportunity to make him shut up, after hearing so many insults being thrown at your dad over the years, you did it. Unfortunately, by doing this instead of just hurting your brother, you may have ended up hurting your father too in the process. It's possible that he already has these doubts about the paternity of the children from his first marriage, even his firstborn, but he never wanted to check it, or he already did, but never wanted anyone to find out. So even though under normal circumstances I would say that what you said was bad, very bad, and that it possibly hurt your dad, even though it wasn't your intention, your brother is an a-hole, a big a-hole, and I think that if you act like an a-hole, expect to be treated like one. And what do you think about this situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Do you think that what she say was horrible? And what advice would you give her on how to deal with this situation from now on? Now let's read what the comments suggest before going to the update. You're assuming and counting on the DNA test being negative. It's like you're almost certain they aren't his biological kids. What if they do the test and they find out that they are indeed his biological kids? What are you going to do, then? In that case you wouldn't be uncovering any lies, and you'd look like a complete fool to boot. Being the idiot to your mean step, half, siblings and stepmother, your dad's ex-wife, isn't the issue here. It seems like insinuating that your half-siblings are not your dad's, hurt your dad more than them. Maybe have a conversation with him, apologize, and explain that you lashed out because you wanted to protect him. What he leaves to who in his will is absolutely none of your concern. Yes, your half-siblings were big idiots for asking, and then you stooped to their level in responding. That's why I'd go with everyone sucks here. Second this completely. 1. You are the idiot, because you could have completely avoided that remark, and even though you did not mean to hurt your dad, you did. 2. Also, unless it's proven, Mark and his siblings are your half-siblings and not step-siblings. 3. Your stepmom, Mark and Martin are the idiots for obvious reasons. Your stepmom cheated on your dad and her remark was vindictive. Both her and Mark are greedy and self-centered people. That's why, I too am going with everyone sucks here, except your dad and real mom. You are the idiot. Your dad obviously knows that there's a chance any of the older kids may not be his, since the stepmom cheated on him and that's why they divorced, but obviously he's still treating them the same. If he had any reservations he could have gotten a paternity test in any of the previous 40+ years since they've been born. A paternity test probably will not matter, as he's been treating these kids as his since they've been born. It's none of your goddamn business who or what he leaves in his will, or whether they are or are not his biological children. I know Mark was being rude in asking what he was going to get, but your snarky remark did not make anything better. You need to apologize to your dad. Everyone sucks here. Bringing up the will was tacky, yes, but it's not your place to tell your dad who his real kids are and push for DNA tests. Agreed, even if they're genetically not his, he still has the say as to whether or not he treats them as his own children. And what do you guys think of the comments? Do you agree with them? What else would you advise to OP? Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Also, I was kind of surprised by how many people were completely against OP in the comments. I mean, overall what she said was pretty mean, but watching someone you love being mistreated for years, and that person still taking advantage of him financially, and treating it like it was his obligation, and still asking how much he would gain after his death, especially when the dad is in perfect health, and acting as if the only thing that mattered to him about his father is his money. That's not okay, it really isn't. Now let's go to the update. Oh, and I hope you are enjoying the video so far. If so, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications to know when a new video is out. Now let's go to the update. Update: Am I the idiot for asking my step-siblings to take a DNA test? I meant half-siblings not step-siblings, and my father's previous wife not stepmother. That's what we call them in my language, so I confused the two in my previous post. The last few days have been eventful to say the least. After the original post, I sat down with my dad and we talked about the issue a bit. I began by apologizing if my behavior upset him, and if he wants me to never bring up the issue again, I won't. He laughed for a bit as is his nature, then told me how he always liked that I check up on him. It's been a habit of mine ever since I was a kid to check up on my parents if they were upset with me after I had done something that didn't please them. We reminisced a few of those stories before he got to the point. Obviously the thought that Martin and Mindy might not be his had crossed his mind, but in our culture being an illegitimate child, or having an affair, or the fact that your wife cheated on you with another man is thought as shameful at the time, so not many people knew outside the family. That's why his previous wife was able to twist the narrative and blame my father and his family for abandoning them. She told her children that my father's sisters conspired against her and my dad threw her out, which was why they had so much resentment for him and his family all these years. My father said he doesn't give much value to money, as over the years he's seen many losses and many profits, but he wants to keep his name, so he asked me to never bring up the issue as long as he's alive, although he did give us the option to seek it after his death. I apologized again profusely and told him I'm not interested in ever bringing up the subject ever again. I'm also thinking of talking with my own siblings and I think they'll be understanding and will accept Dad's wishes. My dad also said that while he has had his doubts about Martin, he feels Mindy is his, as she has a striking resemblance to his mother. She died when my dad was 14 and the only picture we have of her is really blurry, so I can see how we missed that. Dad also asked me to be in charge of going over his will with the others, but I told him that was a bad idea as Mark wouldn't take it well after our last confrontation, so I suggested an older cousin who's a bit younger than Mark. While the cousin is fair and neutral on the subject, Mark doesn't like him one bit cause he's a really successful businessman and Mark is all talk and no show, so it'll be entertaining to say the least. Then I got a call from Mindy last night. I thought she'd blow up on me, but she was very civil the whole time. Out of the three, Mindy is probably the only one who has had some sort of a fatherly relationship with Dad, and the few times she has lashed out was most likely under the influence of her mother. She opened up to me how she had doubts about her identity her whole life and me bringing it up really hurt her. I can't go over the whole conversation because of the character limit, but I got what you all were saying. I truly was the idiot. I never thought that my comments, which I thought were only targeting Mark, could hurt so many people. I ended up apologizing to her and told her how wrong I was, also that I had no intention of bringing up the subject ever again. I won't go over the details of Dad's will cause it doesn't matter, except my inheritance, while still is a lot of money, I won't lie about that, is on the smaller side compared to the others' half-siblings included, and that was the intention even before the argument, as I'm the most financially well-off amongst the siblings. I realize now how wrong I was, and from now on if I feel the need to defend myself against Mark or his mother or anyone else, I'll make sure my comments don't hurt anyone else. Thanks to everyone for opening my eyes to how wrong I was. I remember reading your original post, thanks for the update. I didn't even consider you a huge a-hole in your post, but you sound like you have the humility to learn so much from others, especially your father. He sounds like such a reasonable and wise man and I'm sure he's really proud of how you've turned out. Kudos to you for always striving to be better despite having that one really shitty half-sibling, aka Mark. Thank you, I agree, he is a great man who didn't deserve any of this. I was just being foolish by bringing this up and that unknowingly I hurt a lot of people, but mostly my dad. I won't worry about Mark, he has kept to himself and Dad has chosen to go no contact with him. My cousin and the lawyers will be doing all the talking from now on. He won't take this lightly, but he'll have to deal with it. Your father is no contact with Mark, but he's still planning on giving him an inheritance? Mark will get an inheritance eventually, for now he will just get to know what he'll get. It's definitely life-changing money, but knowing Mark I know he still won't be happy about it and how it's unfair to him, that doesn't matter anymore anyway, as it's Dad's final decision and not his. Just as a note with respect to the will, your dad should probably hire an attorney to be the executor. Any family member, no matter how fair-minded or uninvolved, is a recipe for old issues to resurface or grudges to be born that will haunt your family forever after. Especially because there's a substantial inheritance at stake and there's already personal animosity between one of your siblings and the cousin in question. This is just a time bomb waiting to blow up at exactly the wrong time, when you and your family should be able to focus on grieving. Dad is in the process of sorting everything out with his lawyers, and is even considering giving them their share while he's alive, so they don't get to contest anything later on. We're, as in my mother and siblings, in favor of this idea, but it's still being discussed and my half-siblings still need to agree upon it as well, which can be tricky. Can your dad put their share in a trust that pays them a certain amount every year? Because it sounds like Mark will spend all his inheritance quickly, then come back and harass you for more. That is precisely why we are giving him his share now, as by receiving it will be in writing and he'll have no rights over the rest of the estate, so he'll be unable to harass Dad or us in the future. Well, I still don't think OP was the idiot. And even though what she said was indeed hurtful, she was dealing with her a-hole of a brother, someone who has been mistreating and taking financial advantage of her dad for years. I'm sorry for the people who were hurt by OP's words, but Mark is an a-hole, he deserved it. And what did you guys think of the update? Do you think that OP's father is doing the right thing with his will? Don't forget to leave your comments down below. And that's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.